There we go. Being 5 o'clock, I think we will call this meeting of external agencies to order. Could I just borrow a physical? I'll just. Sorry. So we have the external agencies business plan review regular meeting to commence. This is the call to order, and I'm looking for a motion for approval of the agenda. Councillor Miller.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Oh, sorry, I have to go to the vote. Vote is open. Carried. Declaration of conflict of interest. If you have a conflict of interest, you know that you need to declare it. And motion for adoption. Oh, we have no minutes, I don't think. No. So no minutes, and we'll move on to correspondence and delegations. And we start with Community Service Center with a PowerPoint presentation from Bill Polilinski. Oh, sorry, I apologize. I'll arm the microphone. That's me. Great. The PowerPoint's just loading, but we've armed the microphone, so we'll get the PowerPoint started.
Okay, we're on?
Getting there.
Okay. So I'll start again. Madam Chair, councillors, good evening. Now, if we can get that to go full screen, that'd be wonderful. This is one of our star passengers. This fellow that you see in the wheelchair is probably our biggest user and most loyal supporter. You can tell by the expression on his face, he's very happy. There we go. So I'd like to take a few minutes just to review our budget submission and talk a little bit about our priorities for the upcoming year. We were negotiating and we just couldn't finalize our negotiations for a multi-year plan in time for this year. So now we're making an external agencies presentation. Now I hit the clicker. It's the green button. There we go. So our major focus, or our biggest goal, is the inclusion of persons with disability, which you all know. Part of what maybe folks don't know is that we provide door-to-door service. We actually go to the person's door, assist them to the bus, and the same with our seniors transportation. A little bit different than your standard taxi service. We believe that we provide a very reliable service. I think in the 9 years that I've been with the agency, we've shut down one day due to weather. We recognize that people rely on our service and we're there to serve them. Our goal this year is to provide a status quo service from last year and the previous year. So by that I mean that we certainly hope that we don't have to reduce our service, but funding will drive that decision. We've increased the rides per hour, so we're looking for efficiencies in operations, and we feel that we're on board with the city in supporting their mission statement. The PA is an innovative, welcoming, diverse, and healthy city of opportunity. So here's a quick summary of our paratransit 24 budget comparison to 2023. You can see that in 2024, we've reduced our salary projections by $23,143. We've forecasted a slight raise in the benefits, but we are netting a saving of $21,575 over last year. That's because we dropped a small part-time split shift, and we dropped a team leader position, and that's offset by wage increases. So the net savings are $21,575. Now, I apologize for the amount of data that you see here, but what it is the comparison between the 2 years in our operating funds from 2023 to our budget for 2024. The bottom line is that we anticipate saving $13,888 over last year. How we hope to achieve that is by estimating $14,000 less fuel costs than we did for this year. It's a little bit of a risk. So if you take a look at our total expenses, salaries, and benefits, for 2024, it's $779,745. I'll just flip ahead to the next slide. And the following analysis is the analysis of our revenue. In order to make things balance, we need $675,285 grant from the city. Last year, we were granted $571,764. Our subscription revenue should be increased over last year by the tune of $11,000. Our charters should double, so we would gain another $1,600. Our vehicle revenue will be higher by about $1,200, and we have no agency reserves to contribute this year. Last year, we contributed $152,918 from agency reserves, plus $49,000 for a deficit the year before, has brought us down to zero. Something that's affected all of us is the annual inflation rate. Over the last 5 years, the average rate has been 15-14, not compounded. If I'm not mistaken, our budget ask is about the same amount in terms of percentage. Seniors transportation budget, we have been fortunate in that we're still running with the same drivers that we've had for years. This year we increased the salary to keep ahead of minimum wage because our starting salary was getting pretty close to what the increase was going to be next year for minimum wage. So our wage costs and benefits are going to be higher this coming year. Now you can see our expenses and our salaries and benefits. This year, our expenses are going to be $191,262 to run the seniors program. The city's contribution has remained frozen at $69,117 for a number of years now. Meaning now that we've got to go into a fenced-off fund for the seniors transportation program to make things work. So the agency contribution will be $57,645. That brings me to a close of the numbers. I'd welcome any questions.
Questions for our presenter? Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation. Gives us an insight of what the community service center is looking for, and again, the services you guys provide are very invaluable to our residents. And I know a lot of people that access these places. But a couple questions around. You say status quo services, but you also had mentioned that you reduced salary, you dropped your split shift and a team lead, saving $21,000. Are we going to see any reductions in services because of that?
No.
Okay. And then you also mentioned, so for the senior transport program, which again, I know there's a lot of people accessing it. It's well utilized in our community. You're saying that the city's contribution is $69,000. You mentioned agency contribution. That would be coming from yourselves or the fundraising efforts?
Yeah.
Do you have any fundraising efforts planned this year?
Yes, we do. This last year, we ran a very successful barbecue and a very successful radio campaign. We had another little initiative that'll grow next year. It was called Spin 2 Miles for Mary, where we had an arrangement with the Spin Studio to have people pay a fee and take pledges. So we feel that those efforts are going to grow. I attended a workshop in Saskatoon for the Association of Rehab Centers, and they mentioned that with competing requests for donations, less disposable income, the big fundraisers for health and other agencies, if you're holding your own, you're doing well. So we've been holding our own, but we're looking to increase our revenues next year. This year, it's about $30,000 that we raised.
Okay, well, that's very good, yes. I just, one I note as well in your expenditures, your fuel consumption, your budget.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if fuel's going down, but I worry, will that leave you enough to operate your business at a $14,000 shortfall from last year?
Yeah, well, I guess that's a risk that we're going to have to take, and I'm hoping that we negotiate an agreement over the next year that will allow us to look at offsetting deficits or surpluses, as the case may be. Last year, prices were very high. We took a beating. Right. This year, the prices are favoring us, so I'm hoping that we can forward some of that saving on fuel to next year's budget.
Looking forward into your negotiations, so good luck on that. Thank you for your report. No more
Thank you.
questions, sir.
Further questions? All right, there's a suggested motion. Looking for a mover. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? I wanted to once again thank our presenter. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you very much for your time and attention.
And no discussion, we will go to a vote. Vote is open. Carried. We'll move into 5.2, Mann Art Gallery, 2024 External Agencies Business Plan Review Submission. And we have Lana Wilson, Acting Director Curator, and Jennifer Brown, Board Chair of the Mann Art Gallery. Welcome, and we appreciate you coming here.
Thank you so much. Does the timer work by itself, or do I have to set it?
I haven't been setting it.
Then I'm very sorry I opened my mouth. I will set my own.
We'll go on the honor system.
Thank you so much. Are we able to have our slides on the screen? Perfect.
We're getting there.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, I was just checking. Okay, good evening, councillors and city staff. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present. As Councillor Lennox-Zepp said, my name is Lana Wilson, and I'm currently in the position of Acting Director Curator of the Mann Art Gallery. Some of you may know that this is my second time around in the position, and I'm happy that I was entrusted to be in this position. And with me is Jennifer Brown.
Thank you for your continued funding and support over the years, and for considering our application this year, which is in the same amount as the previous 7 years. We are your public art gallery, serving Prince Alberton area and all points further north, and we'd like to recap what that means and how we do it. The Mann Art Gallery's purpose is to foster an understanding of and involvement in the visual arts in North Central Saskatchewan, and to stimulate artistic growth in the community by means of a diverse exposition, an extension program, and a permanent collection in a facility adequate to these activities. We are proud of how we have accomplished those objectives over the past year and how we plan to continue in the future.
So that's a lot of sentences in a mission statement. And I wanted to break it down for you in how we do that. And of course, because we are working in the visual arts, we're working in a nonverbal medium. We're working in a medium that speaks to us through images, sound, color, and that speaks to connection. We wanted to focus on our slides that show what we've been able to accomplish in the past year. First of all, on the topic of fostering understanding and involvement of art in the community, our exhibitions are the key, and our programming are the key ways that we do that. Our funders at all three levels of government, that's the City of Prince Albert, you, Sask Arts, the provincial funder, and the Canada Council for the Arts at the federal level, expect professional, high-quality programming that's innovative and relevant to our community. And that's not just our community, that's artistic and educational relevance to our region, to our province, and across Canada. That's the role that we play. Our visitors, our city, and our province deserve those types of professional services in your civic art gallery. And it's our staff complement, our 4 full-time positions. Those help us to accomplish that, and that's what we use the funding from City Council to support. When we have staff, we can accomplish these things. I'm going to show you some slides now from different exhibitions that we've had over the past year and a half to help point out what those look like, what those mission objectives and successes look like in a concrete way. What we're seeing right now is the Miles Charles and Mary Joyce exhibition for Ways of Living, Ways of Being. This was curated by Marcus Miller. This speaks to the relevance that we have at the gallery, the inclusion that we promote, and the stories that we can tell. These are images from northern Saskatchewan. Elder Miles Charles is a Cree elder, and he's painting personal life experiences. This image here of forest fires brought many visitors to tears because they have experienced that type of trauma in their lives, and people have personal stories. And the way that he's able to depict that, his own history, and the way it speaks to other people, these are the types of stories from northern Saskatchewan, from northern Canada, that we can share with our own community and we can share with others. Whoops. And this is Mary Joyce. This is elders' dreams of the future generations. And Mary Joyce is a white artist who lived in 1990 in a year, a self-declared artist residency in La Loche, as she was a teacher there. And her exhibition speaks to the cultural understandings and friendships that she made there and had the blessing of the community to show those artworks. Mary Joyce donated 20 of these series of artworks to our permanent collection, and they were recently just driven up by Marcus himself and put on long-term loan at the Friendship Center in La Loche. And so that was a really special moment for the community to be able to have ways of life celebrated in that way. This is Prairie Interlace. This was an exhibition that was curated by the Nickel Gallery in Calgary, in Alberta, and assisted in the research by the Mackenzie Art Gallery in Regina. And this is important because that tapestry that's hanging on the wall is by Prince Albert artist Margriet van Walsum. And this exhibition, traveling to those 2 other significant galleries and exhibited here at the Mann, it speaks to how we can use our permanent collection. The point of this exhibition was to answer the research question, what were prairie textile artists doing in the later half of the 20th century when Canada experienced a boom in textile production and increased valuing of things like tapestries, rugs, wall hangings as significant and respected art forms? How was that relating to what prairie artists were doing? How were prairie artists a part of that? And it's works from our own collection. We've now got 4,000 artworks in the collection that was used as research for that exhibition. We had the curators from the Nickel and the Mackenzie come up and select artworks from our collection that were included in these traveling exhibitions. And that speaks to one of the ways that we can use our collection as it's intended to preserve and present that artistic heritage that we have here. These are more images of prairie interlace. And the sculpture, the felt sculpture in front, is by Agnetha Dick, who lived and studied here with George Glenn and is recognized across Canada. And that was recently donated to us by the Dick family in a donation that is valued over $50,000. This is showing images by, at the reception of Corey Chad that was curated by Jesse Campbell. So this is showing the reception, but I wanted to take the opportunity here to speak about the idea of relevance of exhibitions at the gallery. Some of you may have had a chance to come and see the Journal of the Plague Years by Diana Ross and Betsy Rosenwald, which traveled to the Man Art Gallery after being curated by the Remy. And it speaks to the way that art can communicate and help us make sense of the world. It brings us together. It was a full wall when you first enter the gallery of paintings, bright, vibrant, upsetting paintings on cardboard as the artists were making art daily during the beginning of the pandemic, and then sharing that and thinking about how do we react to awful, bad news and a continuous barrage of images. How does that affect us? And it's these kinds of thought-provoking discussions that we can have in a verbal and a non-verbal way at the gallery in ways that bring us together as we communicate those things. So here we do have communication with Corey Chad and Jesse Campbell as they speak at the opening exhibition. And this is Corey's first solo exhibition. She is an emerging artist of great skill, but is considered an emerging artist because she is still building her exhibition history. And we have been able to help foster her artistic growth from workshops that she attended at the gallery to hosting, to featuring her in group exhibitions, and then culminating here with Jesse Campbell now as an independent curator, and with Corey having her first solo exhibition. This is one of the things that we do at the gallery, is trying to help our artists bridge that career to showing in professional settings. And of course, this is Winter Festival. Winter Festival is one of the most fun and engaging ways that we're able to bring people into the gallery and help stimulate their creativity as they have a chance to exhibit regardless of skill level, and meet curators like Wally Dion, who are able to help bring different perspectives to the community and help us to understand ourselves and the work that we're producing in a different way as he joins us in Prince Albert for the first time. This is the high school juried art show, where we're trying to provide those opportunities and celebrate the works of our high school students in a professional gallery context.
Up next, we have our artist in residency with Leah Dorian and Bonnie Johnson. The focus here is on Métis art, and specifically it's the Métis Moonshawl project, which is tremendous because it's able to look at mentorship, cultural teachings, and it just features an abundance of beauty that we find in the city of Prince Albert. I don't know about you, but growing up in the West Flat of Prince Albert, I often thought to myself, well, I can't go into an art gallery. I still haven't been to the Remy. I'm an art teacher. But I can walk into the Man Art Gallery, my students can walk into the Man Art Gallery, and they feel like they belong because it's the one thing that we are very well at doing. And it comes from Leah Dorian herself, who often tells our other funders that she is surprised by how welcoming the Man Art Gallery is, how accessible it is for all people. And that's something that we want to bring into Prince Albert. We are a vibrant city. We have such a cultural history here and an artistic event that we can create such beauty and opportunity for the people here in the city. We rushed past the Winter Festival and we rushed past the students' high school juried art show, but these are a stepping stone for so many artists in our city. And if we look at what we have to offer, it's something that we should take a lot of pride in because it's one thing I think Prince Albert does best, is highlighting the arts that we have here. And as an Indigenous person, highlighting Métis artists with the help of Leah Dorian and Bonnie Johnson is just tremendous. So thank you to the City of Prince Albert for helping us fund that, because it gives an opportunity to young people, young artists, and young Indigenous artists as well.
It's true. We just had a Leah Dorian and Holly Tennant mural project in conjunction with Wanuskewin over the weekend, and they did specifically have that workshop here at the Mann because Leah was able to speak to how we have tried to break down those barriers and address that racist, classist, Eurocentric history of art galleries and help people to work towards feeling comfortable in our spaces. And that brings me to the education program. These are our statistics for 2022. Other councillors will know that I have been in the education role as the manager of education programs for most of the past 9 years. And it's true, our numbers are not fully recovered from the hit that we took during COVID lockdowns and the cancellation of field trips. But for the 2022 numbers, when we did finally start to see field trips and students return to the gallery, we were able to engage over 1,700 students. And the majority of the teachers who brought their students to the gallery, we ask evaluation questions, and always the top reason for visiting the gallery is to expose the students to art at a professional level, and along with that, tied for the objective, is helping students experience a gallery for the very first time. We know that art is not only found in the gallery space, but it is an important forum and venue for those discussions and a place for those types of engagements to happen. And we're very proud of how our education programs are able to link to our curatorial programs. And our permanent collection. I already spoke to how we've used the permanent collection in the Prairie Interlace, but we continue to use our collection to increase our artistic heritage preservation in Prince Albert. And so on the left, that wonderful nun with that really interesting expression on her face, that was a recent donation from the Sisters of the Presentation of Mary, and it's by Joe Fafard. It's his favorite elementary school teacher. And a recent donation from the Milliken family of Frank Soudal artworks are on the right. And so those are some of the most recent acquisitions to the collection, because we do want to be able to preserve that artistic heritage and have these types of discussions now and into the future. And we're able to do that when we store our artworks, our 4,000 now artworks in our vault. And I bring this up because some of you will remember over the past year that we have been working on a capital campaign. We know that this will be a 10-year project. We are not asking for any increase in funding right now, but we're just letting you know that this is some of the goals going forward, is to install an appropriate HVAC system to control humidity into the vault and make sure that we are properly preserving our incredible art collection.
So to address where our funding comes from, there is a significant portion that is self-generated from tours, the gift shop, art rental, venue rental, workshops that we hold itself, our core grants from yourself, the City of Prince Albert, the province and federals as well. And then we have to highlight how much your funding just means to us, and we hope to keep it at that same level because you're our biggest funder. Without you, the Mann Art Gallery can't exist. And without you, we can't have art in the City of Prince Albert. Our core grant allows us to keep the staff that we have, to secure project grants, design our exhibition, our education programs, and continue our sustainable development strategy. Securing private and corporate donations and fundraising events through our operational budget and future capital projects, or how we're looking at that. So when we bring back our piano bars, we hope that you'll all be there.
That's what we're seeing here is the piano bar, which over the past year and a half has been a new fundraising strategy. And the genius behind them is Kim Ornick herself, who is head of the personnel committee and a key part of the fundraising committee at the gallery. So thank you, Kim, for being here today. So once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to present. We do like to use this opportunity to show you in pictures what it is we do, because we are the public gallery of Prince Albert. We are your gallery, and we are able to generate almost 3 times the funding that you provide us with through grants at the provincial, the federal level, and through project grants. And it is your support that helps us to get those grants, because we can demonstrate that our own community values what we do and is willing to invest in us. And that builds the reputation, and that shows our relevance, and we want to help to continue doing that. So thank you so much for your support and the ability to present tonight.
Thank you for coming. Any questions? We have Councillor Ogrodnik.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Once again, very thorough and excellent, and enlightening for all of us. I have 4 points or questions. My first one was when you said 4,000 artworks in your collection. That's total artworks, that's not just textiles. That's total artwork. Sorry, that's total artwork?
4,000 total art pieces,
Art
textiles
pieces.
included in that
Okay.
number.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. Second question then is, I know at the Winter Festival Juried Art Show, you always, not always, but sometimes select a piece of work that goes in the permanent collection. And I'm just interested, how do you guys decide what you want in the permanent collection when you make those decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I did 2 degrees in art history, and this is always the question we ask ourselves. What do we feel is relevant now? And what can we predict about what does... Sorry, oh, you don't think I'm talking loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay, I will use the microphone. This is always the question that we ask ourselves is, what do we feel is relevant now? And how can we predict what is going to be relevant into the future? And so, yes, Councillor Ogrodnik, you're correct. It's usually maybe about 1 or 2 pieces, sometimes 3 that we select. And what we're paying attention to is how can we build the collection as a whole? And so works that we acquire might be from an artist that we don't already have in the collection, but over the past several years has been able to demonstrate how they have mentored other artists, or if it's an artist that we already have in our collection, perhaps the work that they're showing is marking a new style for them or a new series of exploration. And so it makes sense to augment the holdings that we currently have with something that now enhances our understanding of that artist's entire body of work. And so we do want to focus on artists, either their themes that they're dealing with, or the artists themselves have some kind of a connection to Prince Albert. But we are actively collecting artists who we do feel have had that significance, whose work is speaking to important issues, because the work that we collect, we want it to be showing why were artists creating this type of artwork in this region, in this period of time. And we want to think about what does that say about our times and the state of the arts in this area. So we're trying to consider those questions when we do it. But of course, it is always a tough question. And yeah, we want to think about what artwork we are deliberately accepting into the collection, because we are very limited on space. And it's always one of those questions that we have to ask ourselves is, what do we think is going to be relevant to future generations? And how can we document that history that we're seeing now? It's a really good question.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Third point or question is the Winter Festival Juried Art Show. It's a fantastic show, and it's what I like about it is that it's so diverse. You see so many different styles, so many different artists, and it's very unique in its feature. And so I just want to compliment the gallery for continuing to support that and showcasing a lot of up-and-coming artists. And as Jennifer said, it gives that, and then the 4th one is the high school art show, Juried Art Show 2, gives people that create art the opportunity to show it. And their art teachers, I know Jennifer and I know Krista at St. Mary, I compliment you so much on what you guys do, what you ladies do for students in those 2 schools. you provide a safe environment, and that's so important in this day and age with recent legislation, that you give those kids an opportunity to feel good about themselves, to express themselves, and then show the public. And that's risky, showing your art to the public. And you have created such a safe environment for up-and-coming artists as well as students. And I want to, as I said, I want to compliment both of you and all the art teachers in Prince Albert that do that. It's very important. And I'm glad that we fund the art gallery to the point I wish we could fund it more. But what you guys do with the money is outstanding. The programming you do, all the different shows. I mean, just last year, the Winter Festival show, it sparked, I went to the presentation, and I ended up going to the Remy to see his, I can't remember his name, the artist, the curator.
Wally Dion.
Yeah, I went to see his fish in Saskatoon, those, and all the spinning things and stuff, and so it has sparked interest, and he was a fantastic curator. And what would be good is to have him come and talk to the community about art and reconciliation, and how through art we can come to an understanding and reconcile. Because he was fantastic. He was Indigenous, and he talked about that. And so the talks, the programs, everything you do is fantastic. And so I can't say enough of how much I appreciate the Mann Art Gallery and all the work that you and your board, unlimited amount of money and limited staff, do. So thank you for doing that for the city of Prince Albert. Many people acknowledge it. They might not say it. They might not understand it, but they do acknowledge it, I think. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Councillor.
much. I appreciate that. One quick point. I think Councillor Ogrodnik, you'll appreciate this as a fellow educator, because I've been at the gallery for 9 years now. Yesterday, I had a student that had visited the gallery when he was in high school, and I led his tour, and now he's a first-year teacher, and he booked a tour for his students, and that makes me feel old. But it was a wonderful moment, right? When you have students that visited you come back and want to replicate that experience. So. Thank you.
On that note, I'm going to turn to Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And thank you both for your presentation. I won't take much. I just have a few comments. I really liked some of the highlights in the pictures. Is probably one of my favorite presentation because of some of the artwork we get to see. I need to spend more time there. But familiar with Leah Dorian's pieces. I also note that the Community Service Center's #1 customer was there in one of your pictures as well, so I'm happy the buses brought them there to participate. But one question I guess I have, really happy to see that there's students involved, and hearing the story you just mentioned, fantastic. And, having the, amount of students that you did have this year, that's great exposure to art for them. Question, but one thing is missing out of here. What is the amount you guys asked for? And I know it's the same as last year, and I'm familiar with that, but for the 10 people watching at home, maybe, what is the amount you're asking for?
Oh, for sure. It's 100,000.
Thank you, yeah. And
Do you
great
mind just saying,
presentation, so thank
can I
you
just
for
ask you to maybe provide that answer in the microphone a little bit?
Sorry, yes, it's $100,000 that we're asking for. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Right. And we're going to turn to Councillor
I'll
Ogrodnik.
move the motion. Gladly
Thank you.
move the motion. So
Thank you. Any further discussion? Thank you very much to our presenters, and we will open the vote. Vote is open. Carried. Thank you. 5.3, we'll turn to the Prince Albert Historical Society. 2024 External Agencies Business Plan Review, and we have a PowerPoint from Michael Gange, Vice President of the Prince Albert Historical Society. Thank you for coming.
Oh, good evening, councilors. I'm a rookie at this, so if I mess up on something, please let me know. I know you're used to a little old man with a beard up here, and I haven't quite gotten mine grown yet. So. With me tonight is Michelle Taylor, our manager curator for the Society. She's the brains of the outfit, I'm just the talking head. This last year, the Historical Society has made the Prince Albert Museums places where people want to be, and we've created programming for the young people as well as the young at heart, and we've seen our visitors' numbers bounce back to where they were pre-pandemic. with more individuals, more groups visiting, and especially during the winter months. We're definitely a 12-month museum now, which brings its own issues as well. But we are a vibrant hub at the end of the north end of Central Avenue, which I know is something that's desperately needed. Oh, slide. In November 2022, the Historical Society hired a new programming and outreach coordinator. And she's been able to engage a wide variety of people and create programs that are needed within the cities. One of the programs, one of the best ones, is a Prince Albert Junior Historical Society, where youth aged 8 to 12 gather once a month and learn about museums and how history can be fun, interesting, and fit into their lives. This coordinator has also made strides to work with our school system at all levels. Paired with our Gathering Place exhibit, we can now make easy curriculum connections to most grade levels. In the first part of 2023, the coordinator also worked with Suntep to develop outreach suitcases. And I saw 2 of those suitcases come back tonight into the museum from a teacher with Indigenous themes. So these suitcases are now available to go to schools, and I said they are traveling constantly, moving all the time, so that students get to touch history, not just see it behind glass. The programming and outreach coordinator has done her job so well that while she's away due to illness, the manager curator has had to pick up where she left off, providing services for over 600 visitors in September alone. That is not our normal busy season. September was very busy. Normal visitor numbers for the month are between 300 to 450 people. This position is essential, as evidenced this fall, so the Historical Society can continue to provide and create programs for those who enter the museums. In 2023, the Historical Society was able to secure nearly $20,000 in grant funds to help pay for this position, and it's hoped that we can find the same funding this year as well. The museum has become a hub for partnerships as well. In the last 2 years, we've worked with the Daily Herald and the Prince Albert Library to digitize Daily Herald microfilm. And we've made them readily available, free of charge to the public. In 2022-23, Provincial Archives of Saskatchewan digitized 150 reels covering from 1910 to 1955, and next year another 150 reels taking us up to 1980 will be digitized. And we look forward to continuing this partnership to have up to the present day all Daily Herald newspapers digitized and searchable for the public. 2 other very exciting partnerships involve our First Nations. The first is a 2-year project to analyze and map our archaeological material. This project comes to an official end in March 2024. Once graphed, it'll be available online for all to see. It's the weird-looking graph off to the left, which is really hard to see in a 2-dimensional picture. But it is a floatable 3-dimensional map that you can rotate in all 3 axes. And every single dot is an artifact that we have. And you'll be able to click on the artifact. And as you can see by the arrow point that is shown, it'll show you what the item is, and it'll eventually give you some historical information to go along with it. It'll be a valuable resource not only for our Indigenous communities, but settler communities too, to learn about the Indigenous culture in their area. Second partnership in Indigenous culture is with Wahpeton Dakota Nation. For 40 years, the Prince Albert Historical Society has been the keeper of their 1912 King George III Medal. 1812, much older. Since 2012, the Bicentennial Medal, and since August, has been the holder of ceremonial items belonging to Henry Touber. The Historical Society took possession of these items after consultation with family members at Wahpeton, and together we will work to provide a safe place to house and access for Wahpeton Dakota Nation. The Historical Society feels very proud to have the trust of the Dakota Nation to hold such important items for them. Thinking as someone of white culture in Prince Albert, the thought that a First Nation would trust a museum with their greatest artifacts, that King George III Medal is their proof of Canadian citizenship well into the past, and that they trust our museum with that is just an immense responsibility, and we feel so respected. We're also maintaining programs and partnerships with the senior care homes. Prince Albert, what is PADBID? Oh, the business downtown. Oh, you know what? This one, I have asked her that question 6 times in the last year. It's too much of an acronym, folks. And for the running of our tea room at the Historical Museum, which we had a deal this summer with Sweet Stells. Oh, it was the greatest relationship. They did well, we did well, brought so many people in. I don't think Waistlines did well because of it, but you know. So these community connections are important for the Historical Society to learn about the city's history as well as participate in it. On top of all the people-centered initiatives, the Historical Society finished renovations to a large office and kitchen to make a more usable space and inviting space for our staff, volunteers, and facility renters. And we are planning renovations to the front entrance of the Historical Museum in the coming months to allow year-round access to these doors. So as I said, we are a 12-month museum now. We're not a place that closes up for the winter and waits to the next summer to come, because we have people coming and going. Up to this point, they come and go out of our side door, because our front doors are not Four Seasons. This new insulated doorway will not only be accessible then through the winter, but it is a historical monument in its own. It is going to have items that are reclaimed from the National Hotel, including the tin ceiling and the boiler plate from the original Marquess riverboat that was beached along the east. And most people aren't aware that boiler was moved into the Marquess and discovered years later. It's with your support and the volunteers that the Historical Society is able to provide services to the public. In 2024, we plan to grow the programs offered by the Historical Society and plan for further renovations to displaying spaces. Our request for increased funding in 2024 is allocated towards staff. As I said, our education and outreach person is essential to what we've been able to do, who can then continue to provide high-quality programs and services that is important to residents and visitors to Prince Albert. We feel the manager curator and the programming and outreach coordinator are required positions to operate the museums in Prince Albert. We're asking for the same consideration and funding that the Mann Art Gallery receives for its staff and operations. Since wages have increased for our summer workers, the Historical Society is unable to provide our permanent staff similar increases. More funding from the city to provide what can be inconsistent grant funding will enable us to provide the services the community has come to rely on. And we hope to recognize the good work that we have done and plan to do in bringing our community together.
Thank you for the presentation. Questions? Councillor Ogrodnik.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. Again, exciting and wonderful presentation. I have to compliment you on the Prince Albert Junior Historical Society program. That is extremely important. As being a former history teacher for many, many years, it's great to connect young people to understanding and learning about history and having a place in Prince Albert that they can pursue their interests and their talents. And so that's great. So compliments to you and the board and Michelle. I know Michelle, I worked with her. She works unbelievably hard.
Well, you would appreciate that our success there was because we hired an ex-teacher.
Yeah, well, teachers are so valuable, I know. The thing that I also like is the fact that anytime any resident has a question about Prince Albert, all it is a phone call, and then the volunteers, the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that those volunteers put in, will find the answer for us. And so that's important. And we have to also mention the archives. I mean, it's the largest archives outside the Saskatchewan archives in the province. Our archives at the Historical Society is larger than Saskatoon.
That's how we're able to answer all of those questions.
Exactly.
And beyond that, I didn't mention, our social media reach is larger than the entire Western Development Museum.
That's incredible.
And if you're not following the Prince Albert Historical Museum on Facebook, well, you should be.
Yeah, because
there's some cool stuff on there.
Because you learn a lot, and that's another thing that I said. Your summer students, again, we get such good value out of the summer students. I really enjoy all the little videos that they make. They find an interest of something, and then they make a little video and post it, and that again is so valuable. And again, it shows the excitement of your staff, summer staff, how they can get excited about things that the general public doesn't. I do, and because I'm a history person. And you mentioned the War of 1812 medal, and that again is such an important artifact to have. It's one of a kind. I don't think anybody else in Canada has that medal.
I still can't believe that
And-
they've been able to hang on to that for that period of time with the way that
Yeah.
they've moved as a group, and it's obviously of immense importance to them.
It is.
And
It's
again,
hugely
the fact
important.
that they trust us with it is.
It is very important, and the fact that, that we have it here, there isn't a dollar figure to be able to place on that, and I'm glad it's under lock and key and in a safe place. One thing I'm looking forward to is sometime for you guys to develop night at the museum, and because I would like you to video that and see what happens with all those artifacts. I love the movies, and I'd love to see what our artifacts do as well. And so I look forward to in the future sometimes you guys doing that with a camera and following Archie, is that his name? The police officer?
He's now Mr.
Oh,
Laird.
Mr. Laird,
Yes.
okay.
But we have had ghost hunters there a couple times, so maybe
Yeah.
we can incorporate that into it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So, and that would be neat to put out. And then again, compliments to last Saturday night or Friday night? Saturday? I watched it several times, and Fred did a fantastic job
well
with
suited to that,
Igor
isn't
and his assistant, and again, great storytelling. The tours of the cemetery, fantastic, and all the things that you guys do, fantastic. So compliments to the Historical Society and all the work you guys do. And I'll move the motion before I disconnect here. So thank you.
So we have a mover. I do have one question, please. What does it mean to your organization if the city does not fund the increase that you've requested?
It likely would mean that we wouldn't be able to maintain our educator and outreach position.
Okay.
And I cannot put a value on what that position has allowed us to do and extend to the junior society, but beyond that, the fact that we're open on Saturdays, the educational content in the suitcases that has gone out to different schools, like all of that is due to this one position. It's what's allowed us to grow and to bloom.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll open the vote. And thank you very much for presenting. Vote is open. Carried. All right, we have number 5.4, the Prince Albert Arts Board, 2024 External Agencies Business Plan Review, and we have a PowerPoint presentation from Adriana Boucher. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm clearly shorter than everyone else. Yes, I'm Adriana Boucher. I'm the chair of the Prince Albert Arts Board. I have been for a few years now, and it's a role that I feel very privileged to have. I hope I remember how to use this little pointer thingy. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so just to give you a quick overview of what the Arts Board does, our vision is drawn from the city's civic arts policy. So in general, our vision is that Prince Albert is a vibrant, thriving, well-supported tapestry of arts and culture. And we want to be and have an arts community that people talk about widely as being a positive, dazzling hub of arts. And we do that, or we already see that with the Mann Art Gallery, and even, with the Historical Society, drawing in performers and storytellers, that's all art. And I just think it's lovely how our city and our community works together so collaboratively in that way. Our mission is to support our artists in creating and maintaining that sort of a community by advocating for them, providing, generating, and sharing professional development opportunities and resources, and promoting our arts near and far. And we promote by going to events in Prince Albert, our board individually and collectively, as well as promoting through social media. Our social media just keeps growing, our outreach keeps growing and growing. We encourage artists to send us their events that they're putting on, and we promote it for them. If somebody does something great that deserves recognition, we make a point to recognize that on our social media as well. And then, of course, through the Arts Hall of Fame Gala, which is another wonderful way that we celebrate the arts. A big part of what we do as well, or part of our mission, is working actively alongside policymakers, such as this City Council, in implementing policies that speak to the needs of our community. So we're always listening to what our artists need. That's our job, to listen and to try to give them what they need, whether that's professional development opportunities or, bums and seats at shows by promoting, what events they have going on, or creating opportunities for youth to present art and to make their own art. So each year we have two main events that we put on. The first one I'd like to talk about a bit is Parts for the Arts. Now, in the past, Parts for the Arts has been an annual event. We just do one, and that's been good. But one of the things we asked our artists about that come to these things is, how could we give you more of what you want? And how would you feel about if we did 4 small events instead of 1 big event? And people seem to really like that idea. And that's what we did this year. And I have to say that the response was fantastic. We had such a good turnout for everything. Because there are small things, we can be far more focused. So, our very first event we had was in collaboration with the Man Art Gallery during the Winter Festival. Wally Dion was here. We took advantage of that, and we did an artist talk with him. And it was amazing. We had that back room at the gallery packed. We had Sweet Stell's cupcakes, and everyone was so engaged. It was just such a lovely, lovely evening. Our second one was Easy Peasy Digital Design Workshop, and that was led by Kara Stelmaschuk, who's on our board, and she showed people how to create their own ads on Canva. So we just asked, what is it that we could do to help you? And artists said things like, we really don't know how to promote ourselves. There you go. We can give them what they need. Our third event was Dear Grant, and Lana actually came and helped presented that with Jesse Campbell. So we make a point to use people who are local to our community, that already have established a positive, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry. We all know them and we all trust them, I guess. And reputation, that's the word, thank you. That for being people we can trust and who are knowledgeable. And that was also a great event. We had fun with that. So this is how we are able to provide professional development for the artists, which is part of our mission and mandate. The next one we're going to do is Who Are You? Build Your CV, and that's going to be on November 27th. And that ties into our Dear Grant one because Lana and Jesse had talked about the importance of having a really strong CV. So brilliant, we're going to show people how to write a CV. You know what we're going to use? Canva. So people who came to the Easy Peasy Digital Design Workshop already have a leg up. The second event that we do each year is the Arts Hall of Fame Gala. And this year it was on September 29th. So we're back to our pre-COVID schedule of having this gala in September. Again, because we're still playing catch up, this year we recognized 2022 and 2023 inductees. So we had Jeff Payton, who passed away during the pandemic. He was recognized in 2020 for the 2022 volunteer category. Then we also had Bob and Lorna Gibson. They're teachers and musicians, just lovely couple of human beings, and also Donnie Prano, who we're all very familiar with. So we had a great night. We had packed the stage at the Rawlinson, and it was just a lovely time celebrating the achievements of these individuals. I think it's so important that we recognize what people give to our community and the great work that they do. And I'm so pleased to be part of the Arts Hall of Fame Gala in that way because it's such a lovely way to honor people. So if you know anybody, nominate them. We have 3 different categories: performing arts, volunteer, and builder. So it's not just about, do you make art? How else do you support arts? And that counts just as much. Next year, we're going to be back on track, by the way, with just 2024 inductees. So we're pretty thrilled about that. So we try really hard as an arts board to be fiscally responsible. We know money doesn't grow on trees. And we also know that the city has numerous pots that need to have dollars put into it. So we really try to do our part to be careful with the money we're given. This year, we're only asking to have maintained funding of $25,000 because we do a lot with that $25,000. We make a point to engage local entertainment for the Arts Hall of Fame Gala and Parts for the Arts, as well, local speakers, so we cut down on costs like for travel and hotels. As always, we find good ways to provide good value on a small budget. As everyone knows, everything costs more now, so sometimes we have to get kind of creative. We are pursuing grants, if necessary, for future large-scale projects, which I'm going to talk about next, instead of asking for additional funding. There's some fantastic grants out there, and we feel really confident that we'll be able to access funding that way. We've also continued to maintain our monthly meetings, but mainly by Zoom. We appreciate the in-kind support of meeting rooms at the Rawlinson and at the Art Center. But if we do it over Zoom, this means we don't have any food costs. We're a volunteer board, and so we have meetings right after work, and we're often very hungry. So if we do meetings over Zoom, we can just turn our camera off and eat at home and do our meeting at the same time and not suck up our funding for that. So the last thing I want to talk about is our Building Bridges Public Art Project. You might remember I mentioned it briefly the last time I was here. I just have a little bit more to report on that. So we just redid our strat plan, and this project hits all three of our strategic directions. It's going to foster a community of artists, arts organizations, and patrons of the arts. Number 2, strengthen the value and equity of the arts in Prince Albert. And number 3, increase understanding and awareness of the arts sport in Prince Albert and beyond. More importantly, this is our answer to Truth and Reconciliation because we individually and as a board feel it's so important that we do something actionable in that way. What we've come up with so far is going to be a two-part approach. First, we're going to be holding a Truth and Reconciliation through Art workshop with Holly Yuzakapi. Second of all, that workshop's going to be open for all, and we're probably going to do it more than once. I should say that. It's not just for artists, it's for anyone. But if I may, I think that everyone is an artist. We're all storytellers, and we can all take something valuable away from this workshop. The second thing we're going to do is work on collaborative projects, mainly led by youth, in particular Indigenous youth, that we match up with mentor artists or organizations. Ideally, we would like to be matching Indigenous with settler so that there's conversations to do with Truth and Reconciliation, and we bridge gaps and we have important conversations that really need to be had that might not have been had unless we give some common platform like art. We're really happy that this is going to be fostering community engagement, big time youth involvement. We're going to be increasing opportunities for youth artists, as well as recognition. Recognition is so important. You know, everyone's name deserves to be on their art. It shouldn't just be who's the professional artist leading this. It's got to be who is everybody involved in this piece so that everybody has a good sense of pride and sense of community. Each piece of art is going to be a group artwork, and we hope to have a public recognition and reception ceremony for each one. Because Truth and Reconciliation is a journey, this isn't going to be just a one and done. This is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to do 1 or 2 projects a year. And what we're counting on is we'll do a big launch with the workshop, and then we're going to be encouraging youth to approach us with their ideas, and we'll say, okay, great idea. How can we make that happen for you? That's how it's going to be. So you might see me here again. You might see reports coming across saying, hey, we'd really like to put art on this door or on this part of the viaduct. We don't know what that's going to look like quite yet because we need the artist youth to tell us what they want. So I just want to say thank you so much for your past funding of the Arts Board so we can continue doing the work that we do. I want to thank Dennis Ogrodnik, Councillor Ogrodnik, for being such an active and engaged and just lovely member of our board. Thank you so much for what you do with us and for us, Dennis. We really appreciate you. Thank you very much for listening to my spiel.
Thank you for being here. Any questions? Okay. Please do. Councillor Ogrodnik.
This is my day today.
Please.
You know, and it's important, and the presentations that were given today are just as important as the sports and other things that we do as a city, and the arts are extremely important to any community, and with a healthy art community, you have a healthy community, and I want to compliment Adriana and the board for their leadership and their enthusiasm in Parts for the Arts. The Arts Hall of Fame is obviously the big event everybody knows about. What I want to also compliment is the fact that you use local and realize that we have experts in our community that can lead workshops, lead ideas in the arts, whatever is needed. Sometimes we go outside as well, I get that, but we have a ton of local people, and you, as well as the MAN, as well as Historical Society, use a lot of local talent and experts. And last but not least, that last point, the building bridges, again, I'm really excited about that. And as you know, you said, we don't know what the art's going to look like, because with that discussion group, we don't know what they're going to come up with, and that's the exciting part. And working with a professional, helping guide the artwork, I think is going to be really interesting and exciting. And I hope future city councils continue to support that. I know I will for the next year, and support it, and hopefully we have something in the next year to unveil. And then hopefully down the road, future councils will continue to support it, because it is about truth and reconciliation for our community. And it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal that the Arts Board is leading this. So thank you for that. I'll move the motion. And since there's no other presentations, I don't get to talk anymore tonight. So
I just would like to say, Dennis, on that point, thank you, that when the MAN delegation spoke about how, the MAN's so welcoming, and how Indigenous people have not felt welcome in art spaces and gallery spaces, that's so sad. And it just made me realize how important it is, again, that it's these Indigenous youth who are telling us what they want to do, instead of us pigeonholing, saying, this is what we want, now fit inside this box. That's not what art's about, and that's not welcoming. So yeah, it's very important to us, and I hope that it in some way helps to continue the work that the MAN's doing in making Prince Albert a very welcoming place for that sort of thing.
well, and that's one point too, is that this place where we are right now is situated on one of the original river lots, and the viaduct, brings the original river lot right here to the hill, and I think that's so symbolic and so important. And so having that truth and reconciliation has to be on display, public art on display on this original river lot. And we have to convince council and the public art working group that this is where it should be placed and why it should be placed in this particular area. That is truth and reconciliation, in my opinion.
Yep,
But,
I agree. Thank you.
From a non-Indigenous perspective. So you have my support. You know that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? We do have a motion. I want to thank the presenter. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
And so I'll open the vote. Vote is open. Vote is carried. Now, before we adjourn, I did not commence this meeting with our city land acknowledgement, so I'm going to conclude the meeting with our city land acknowledgement. We recognize that Prince Albert is located within Treaty 6 territory and is the homeland of the Dakota and Métis. We extend our respect to all Indigenous people for valuable past and present contributions, and recognize and respect cultural diversity within the city of Prince Albert. And we heard a lot about that tonight, and that is quite exciting. And we have certainly heard about those past and present contributions extensively. Thank you. So we now, I think, turn to if there's a motion for an adjournment. Before we adjourn, I want to thank all of the external agencies for your hard work, and I know lots of people put in a lot of hours into these organizations that make our city beautiful. So we want to say thank you to all of you. Do we have a motion for an adjournment? Oh, Councillor Kilmer. Oh, yes. Councillor Kilmer.
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you. We'll open the vote. Vote is open. Carried. Thank you again. This meeting is closed.